All right,
All right,
everybody.
y'all.
Y'all. Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
We did take a little bit of a hiatus, well, a broken up hiatus,
Yeah.
sabbatical kind of thing. So, in case it's just been so long since you last heard us and you forget who we are, or you're new and you're joining us at the perfect time, my
Yes.
name is Kaylee.
My name's Logan.
And we don't know what we're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, that is okay. You're not alone. We're all figuring out life in our 20s together, and we'll make it through. We got it.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
growing up fine.
Somewhat.
Somewhat fine. The kids are somewhat all right, but
For now.
eh, for now. So, like I kind of mentioned before, we did have a little bit of a sabbatical hiatus, whatever you want to call it. Our lives got very busy at the same time, which was it's okay, exciting, fun things were happening. But during that time, we did make the decision to move from recording weekly and uploading weekly to recording bi-weekly and uploading bi-weekly. The schedule just, I think it'll work better for us. It'll
Yes.
give us more content to work with, so we're not scraping moss off the fish tank wall looking for things to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we made a decision so could keep putting out quality content for you guys. So
Yeah.
this is your fault. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No one's fault.
It's the fault in our stars.
That was such a good movie. Such a good book.
Yeah.
And I knew this was happening for a while, but they just announced that Turtles All the Way Down is being made into a movie,
Yeah, I
which is
saw
another
that.
John Green book. I'm so
Mhm.
excited. I love that book.
Yeah. John Green.
John Green is amazing. John Green, if you're listening, I love you.
Yeah.
um, I read the first John Green book I read was Looking for Alaska when I was in sixth grade. Do not let your sixth graders read Looking for Alaska.
Yeah, I
But
think it's probably a bit too early to read that.
it's also on the banned book list, ironically.
Yeah,
Um,
which also doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah, because it's not there is no explicitity to
No.
Looking for Alaska. It's just some heavy stuff for a
Yeah.
12-year-old.
Yeah.
But
But
that
still.
was the first John Green book I read. And then I ate all of them up like a starved child, and I loved them all so much. I loved all the adaptations so far. And I'm really excited to see Turtles. And I'm also really excited 'cause I know he's writing another novel, so I'm really excited for when that comes out. And I have a feeling that 2024 is going to be a great year to be a John Green fan.
Nice.
Quote me on that in December, and we'll see if I feel the same. There was a time back when Wendy Williams was first starting out. If you don't know who Wendy Williams is, she was the radio host who started in the Bronx, and then she got her own talk show in New York City. And I am a Wendy Williams apologist, and I love her. But she told a story on her show one day about how she had to, in order to use the phrase hot topics on her show, like to describe the segment, she had to spell it wrong because Joy Behar from The View trademarked the correct way to spell it. So, in Wendy Williams fashion, we're gonna move into our hot topics. That
Yeah.
is HAWT space TOPIKZ
Hot
snaps.
topics.
Hot topics. um, I think probably the biggest thing that's happened since we last talked was I can't even believe
Well,
these words are coming out of my mouth.
there there was a bridge and now there is not.
Now there is no bridge.
Yeah.
And said bridge will take 10 years to rebuild. That just blows my mind.
Oh gosh, imagine having to take it extra 2-hour long commute for the next 10
Oh
years.
my gosh. Like, that's like so I work in Kankakee, I have to cross Court Street over the river every day.
Mhm.
That's like if that got hit and fell down and I would have to go all the way.
You have to go all the way around.
I'd have to go it's not as big, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I can make it a
Yeah.
short way, but I would still have
But
to go
still,
around for 10 years.
yeah.
That's insane. In case you're not privy, we're talking about the
Francis
boat,
Scott Key Bridge.
the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Um, last time I checked, 6 people died. Is that still
Yeah.
accurate, Logan?
I think so.
Okay. That is just I am dumbfounded. I saw the video and I was like, How?
Uh,
Who let this happen?"
poor infrastructure,
Poor infrastructure,
but also,
poor
like, it
government
kind of just
allotment of monies.
happens
Yeah,
because the very large cargo ship
very large cargo
lost
ship.
power,
Mhm. And it's I don't know, it's sad because I think about, like, the people who were on the boat, the people who were on the bridge when it fell, in the
which
cars, like,
there actually weren't, like, any civilians, I don't think, that were on the bridge when it collapsed, aside from,
really,
like, workers, because the ship was able to send out a distress call early enough for the police to be able to close down the bridge to stop people
I
from going across it because, like, they
I
knew
did
they were
not
gonna
know
hit
that.
it.
I didn't know
Like, that there
that.
was nothing they could do. So those police officers saved probably a lot of lives.
Oh my that's so sad.
Yeah,
And I think I heard somewhere that that bridge had been out of code for, like, 13 years, and they didn't
probably.
update it.
That's American infrastructure for you.
Yay. We need better public policy and better referendums and amendments
Yeah,
on the ballots to reallocate government budgets.
we need, like, a new, like, 5-year plan thing.
Mhm. That does not include spending a lot of money on a lot of guns, so we probably will not.
Yeah. Like, why don't we take some of our military industrial complex and use it for our infrastructure?
Oh, man, I can't believe you just said that on the air, Logan. Gosh dang.
Yeah.
That's so radical
Wow.
and wow.
Wow.
Mike Pence's Space Force that we spent literal millions of dollars on
Space Force.
to fight wars in space.
Oh, the Space Force.
Hopefully, I look really stupid in a couple of months when we actually have to use the Space Force, but right now, I cannot believe that that happened.
Yeah. Like, we
That
already
might have happened.
have a government agency that's dedicated to space,
Yeah,
which obviously they're more targeted toward research and not militarization.
but if we funded NASA adequately, they could have a defense division,
But
and
why
it
would they
wouldn't
need
be
it? Space.
why would they need it when we can have a bunch of military men role playing as Sailor Moon? That is they're literally called scouts. I just
Oh, they are.
oh my gosh, it's just a giant Sailor Moon cosplay, man.
Uh,
Anyway, rest
yeah,
in peace to all of those we lost in Baltimore.
yeah. But it does bring back memories of the Suez Canal with the boat getting stuck in the Suez Canal. Was that
That
just last
was
year?
I think it was yeah, it was last year. That was funny.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie, that one was actually funny.
that one was because the ships had to go around Africa,
Mhm.
like It was the 1700s.
How blessed the rains down in Africa. Throwing it back to the 17.
Yeah.
Throwing it back to Ferdinand Magellan.
Woo!
Woo! All right. What kind of speaking of public policy and referendums and
Yeah.
stuff, we're in the season of um um why can I not think? Season of
Elections,
primaries. Election.
primaries.
We're halfway through the election cycle. Or maybe a little bit more than half, I'm not sure. But
Yeah. So,
um yes.
Kansas City,
What
most
what
notably
date did
known
Kansas City
for
have?
it was
What
just
date was
yesterday. It was
yesterday?
April
Okay.
2nd. Yeah. This
Illinois
is like
was March
breaking news.
19. Woo!
Yeah. So, Kansas City, notably
Mhm.
known for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals and all of our sports.
The only thing Kansas City is
The
good
only
for is
thing Kansas
sports.
City pretty much has. Let's be real. And right now, until 2031, those sports teams have essentially a tax incentive to stay in the area, but
Okay.
they want to do some renovations and some stuff. So the Kansas City Royals have been wanting to move downtown because their stadium right now is right next to Arrowhead and it's kind of essentially in the middle of nowhere.
Mm,
And they want to have downtown, which is where a lot of other baseball stadiums are,
great.
but that's going to cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
And the Chiefs also want to do some stuff. They want to have renovations done. So, like canopies for the upper deck levels, and also renovating like the VIP rooms and the VIP entrances and the parking lot, having more VIP spaces. Basically, more amenities for the rich people. But
Nothing for the common man.
yeah, not much for the regular people. But again, would cost a lot of money. And
Mhm.
so they basically worked with the local government to propose a resolution that appeared
Okay.
on the ballots. And essentially, what I think it was extending that like sales tax incentive from 2031 all the way out for another 40 years.
40 years?
Yeah. And it would have let the Royals move downtown, which would have likely disrupted a lot of small businesses. And
Mhm.
there's already hardly any parking downtown.
Yeah.
And the owners weren't going to pay for everything, obviously. And then with the Chiefs renovations, that one was estimated to cost 800 million, and the owners were only going to pay 300 million.
Oh, that is sickening.
Yeah, even though the owners are literal billionaires,
Yeah.
and the people had the vote on this, and they said no.
Mhm. Yay, good job, people.
Yeah, the people have stood up to the billionaires and said no.
Woo.
We want a better deal. So
Yay.
they have time to rework this, actually make something that's not half baked.
Half-baked.
Yeah,
Wow,
and
shout out to the private citizen using their right to vote. Good
yeah,
job, guys.
yeah, and like we're not gonna be taken advantage of, especially
Yeah.
when ticket prices, especially for the Chiefs, are ridiculous. Like hundred
Mhm.
over $100 just for seats at the very top.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's a bit much,
Oh, that is crazy.
and you have to pay for parking on top of that.
Do you know what the voter turnout was?
Um, pretty good for the
Okay.
county because it was just Jackson County, which is the county Kansas City is in.
Mhm.
Um, let me see. I think it was about 80,000, which is pretty decent.
In Kankakee County, it was 16%. That's abysmal. That's so bad.
Let's see.
I think at my specific polling place, I looked it up, 29 people voted at my polling place all day.
uh, okay.
Yeah,
So in total, 24.3% of registered voters cast ballots with the Kansas City Election Board,
okay.
which is the portion of Kansas City that falls within Jackson County, and a
Mhm.
whopping 34.3% of registered voters cast ballots in Jackson County.
Hey, that's way better than Kankakee, man.
Yeah, like that's for
So
an
much
election
better.
turnout, especially for a primary. That's really
Yeah.
good.
I think average voter turnout is like 60.
Yeah, that's for like the
So,
major election,
yeah.
like November.
Not even just November, because like not every November election is a presidential election.
Yeah, this November.
This one is a big one.
Yeah.
Vote third party, everybody.
Ooh.
Vote Vernon Supreme. He'll make all y'all dreams come true.
But yeah, so just under 135,000 voters cast their ballots on this initiative, and it asked to approve a 3/8 cent sales tax for the next 40 years.
Right? 3/8 of a cent.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what just say like 2 cents, you know?
Yeah.
That's insane to me. I can't
So what does that mean?
what does that mean? How can a cent get smaller than a cent? Anything else interesting on the Kansas City? 'Cause I do remember talking about the Kankakee primary on the show last
Yeah.
couple times.
Um I don't think there's really anything else with that. I'm just trying to look up what exactly
Yeah.
that means because there's already that exact sales tax in place.
So it'd just be an extension, not a raise, essentially.
Essentially, it would have effectively ended the existing one and just replaced it with a new one at the same level, extending till 2064. So 40 years. But still, that's a long time.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it would have been 40 years from this year, not 40 years from 2031.
Yeah. But
Makes sense.
because this
Makes
was
sense.
not passed, the current
The
one
one
doesn't
from
expire till 2031,
that was smart.
which aligns with the expiration of the Royals and Chiefs leases.
Oh, oh, dang.
Yeah. Which there's plenty of time still to actually have a better deal.
Mhm.
So
And,
I'm
like, I feel
expecting
like
to
they
see that.
won't leave for the namesake, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the teams want to stay.
Yeah.
That's the major thing. The teams want to stay, which is very good.
Mhm. Yeah, it's always good to have when teams have that rapport with the city
Yeah.
and that attachment.
Mhm.
Because whether we like it or not, meaning I don't like it, sports teams become ingrained in the culture of any city, and
Mhm.
any population is gonna feel like almost like a parasocial relationship with the athletes.
Yeah.
But like my big thing is that a professional athlete has no idea what life is like for the people that relate to them, and they shouldn't be role models.
Yeah.
But that's my
Um,
crazy sociological high horse that I
with Kansas City,
yeah.
um, there's been times where I know just this past NFL season, Mama Kelsey, she was working the drive-through at, it was Raising Cane's, I think,
That's so sweet.
like, before a
I
game
right. Yeah.
or something
Oh,
like that,
that's sweet.
and,
There's sorry.
there's another time where Travis Kelce was just, like, shopping at a Trader Joe's or something like that,
Oh, that's
and, like,
sweet.
people just, like, left him alone, like, he's just there shopping,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't grow up with that experience in Cleveland.
which
Yeah.
for other cities, I don't think that would happen for, like, someone of that
Mhm.
celebrity status, essentially, would just, like, be left alone.
Yeah. No, in Cleveland, we had our athletes flying to Los Angeles every weekend to go have an affair with the Kardashians. That's what we got. So, that's probably why I'm, quite a bit jaded with athletes, but
LeBron James.
yeah. Not Kobe Bryant, what the frick is his name? Oh, cut that out. Freaking Kyrie Irving,
Yeah.
the one who was dating Kourtney Kardashian, I forget his name. Wait, that's not him. Yeah. I'm so glad I got out of Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland is rough.
It's rough. Growing up in Ohio was rough.
Yeah.
Like, because where my hometown is situated, it's an hour south of a really big city. And if you go a half hour south from my hometown, you're in Amish country. So you're just like the two extremes.
Yeah. That's
Um, my hometown's trying to keep up with the urban, honestly, with urban blight and gentrification, but trying to make it look good. People want to live there.
yeah.
Um, and just a lot of things get thrown to the wayside when that happens, and development is not always upward. That's tonight's lesson in urban planning.
Yeah.
Little kitty cat. Oh, I got a cat on my lap, and I'm so happy right now. Oh, he's gonna bite me. He's gonna bite. But he's
But
gonna have all his teeth removed on Monday.
oh, no.
Yeah. But you know who doesn't have all of her teeth removed? Mother Nature. And she is playing us all for April Fools this year. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, it got cold out
Um,
again.
it got cold out. So in Kankakee
Yeah.
County, Tuesday, April 1st, there were 2 confirmed tornado touchdowns. On Wednesday, April 2nd, it has been snowing all day.
It hasn't snowed here at all, but we did get some storms.
Because between like the BB plant in Whiting, Indiana, gassing us all out to the weather, I what does God have against Kankakee County?
A lot.
A lot, rightfully so. It kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
kind
Kinda not good.
of not good. And like the tornadic system that Kankakee had passed through Ohio that day. But my mom like never takes the weather seriously. So I was like, Mom, you gotta listen to me. This is actually really bad this time.
It's a tornado.
Like, Mom, you're gonna get tornadoed. Um,
You're gonna get Dorothy'd.
right? But of course she did it, and it was silent all night. And I was like, gosh dang
Yeah.
it. But ah, so how cold has it gotten in Kansas City?
Not too bad. Um,
Okay.
right now it's like 50 or so. Not too bad. It's
Oh,
gotten
nice.
down to
Oh,
like
nice.
the 40s,
Okay.
but cold enough in the mornings where like I need a little bit heavier of a jacket than I would like.
Mhm.
So
I think the high today in Kankakee was 33. Tomorrow is gonna
Yeah.
be 43. So hopefully we're on the up and up because I'm so sick of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And Tuesday, April 1st was in fact April Fool's
That
Day.
was Monday.
Um, that was Monday.
Yeah.
What day is today?
The 3rd.
Oh, that's really embarrassing for me. Oh man, potlucking on the
Yep.
podcast. Oh, it's for poop. But I really thought today was the second.
No, it's the 3rd.
Oh, wonderful. I wonder if that's a long-term side effect of trauma. Wink, wink.
No.
It couldn't be.
No.
Oh, why memory loss and general confusion is not a sign of chronic trauma.
Uh, well, we've been
But anyway,
stalling for too long. We're getting
yeah,
into the
let's
real
get
meat
to it.
now.
The meat and potatoes of the podcast
Yep.
this week
Yep.
and next, maybe the week after. Who
We'll
knows how
see.
long it'll take us to unpack all of our
Yep.
trauma. Hooray! I know we've teased that trauma month a couple of times,
Yep. It's here.
and now it's finally upon us.
Yippee.
Yippee! And I think it's kind of indicative of our generation's mental state that we just kind of tend to throw around the word trauma.
What?
What? And like, yes, joking about it makes we're joking about situations that make us uncomfortable, make us feel like we're in control,
Yeah.
but not everything that causes us discomfort temporarily is trauma.
Yeah.
Sorry to break it to you guys. So, kind of how I personally define trauma is a situation that leaves a semi permanent physiological change.
Mhm.
Um, any any external stimuli on the body causes hormone changes, and sometimes those changes turn into
Mhm.
imbalances. And on a molecular level, trauma influences those hormonal imbalances.
Yeah.
What I think is really informed by A, my sociology degree, and B, the fact that I work closely um with addiction at my job, and I kind of see now in ways I didn't see before how addiction is triggered by trauma like other physiological
Mhm.
hormone occurrences, and how everything in our bodies is tied to hormones.
Woo.
So yeah, that's kind of my thought. Um, when I was doing research ahead of time, I saw an article that used um, like being cut off in traffic and driving onto the shoulder as an example of trauma. And in my opinion, I'm like, yes, that is frightening,
Mhm.
but you get back on the shoulder, you keep driving,
You get
and your
off the
body,
shoulder and
yeah,
keep driving, not
like your body reacts to the stimuli, it regulates itself, homeostasis kicks
yeah.
in, you're calm again in a couple moments. Trauma prevents
Mhm.
homeostasis from occurring, putting your body into a longer state of shock and causing physiological damage.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes along with the definition that the American Psychological Association gives trauma, where it
Boo,
yeah,
psychologists. This
smart
meme is brought to
people,
you by the sociologist game. I'm kidding.
where they say that trauma is an emotional response to a terrible event,
Mhm.
but the trauma really comes from people having difficulty moving on from those events. So things around you
Yeah.
can be traumatic, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you
Mhm.
have trauma.
Mhm. Like, they have disturbing qualities,
Mhm.
but you're not in a permanent state of being disturbed.
Yeah.
So, trauma can be a lot of things. It can be acute, chronic, generational, um, isolated, collective. A lot of historical events will like have caused collective trauma, and something that we'll unpack a little bit later on is how like witnessing collective trauma
Mhm.
is kind of like what you were saying is a can be a traumatic experience, and you could have compassion fatigue,
Yeah.
which can feel traumatic, but it's not necessarily causing trauma on your body.
Mhm.
um, and I think it's important too to recognize that even that all trauma is in a sense physical, because even if it's happening, like if the trauma is mostly mental, you're causing physical changes to your
Mhm.
hormones. Like I was saying earlier, that does cause brain damage and can diminish your brain tissue and weaken it.
Yeah. And it can also cause your actions to become irrational, um, and cause
Hmm.
you to almost lash out in certain ways or to indulge in certain things that you wouldn't have normally,
Yeah.
but because of
Yeah, because the
yeah.
regulatory parts of your brain are damaged
Mhm.
and cannot work.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too to kind of look at like separating things that are traumatic and things that are just scary.
Yeah.
Like new life experiences are scary, but they're not in effect traumatic until they are
Mhm.
damaging.
Like moving
Like,
across
yes,
the
I was afraid
country.
to live on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like I was afraid to live on my own, but living on my own has not inherently traumatized me.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of young people use that as kind of like a crutch to avoid
Mhm.
new experiences.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I agree with that.
because it's a mechanism that makes them feel safe.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, like everybody, the world is scary. COVID showed us that the world is a crappy place and people are crappy
Yeah.
and crappy things will
Yep.
happen, but you can't live your life anticipating the crappy things to the point where you're not living.
Mhm.
And trauma manifests itself in a ton different ways,
Yeah.
different symptoms. It's something that I know it's again like a universal experience with trauma is like memory loss.
Mhm.
And up until about like I have no recollection of anything that happened to me until about 6 months ago. And even that was like that is it is a year and a half after what traumatized me, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so there's the difference between like latent functions and manifesting
Mhm.
functions, like that manifest right away, and the latent sensations that don't manifest until a period of time after kind of show how trauma that's the chronic nature of trauma
Yeah.
that can sometimes be
Mhm.
exhibited. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, the longer term side effects, essentially,
Mhm.
which could be, like, flashbacks to the traumatic event, relationship issues, unpredictable emotions, and even some
Mhm.
physical symptoms can come about because of that neurological imbalance, like
Yeah.
headaches, nausea. I think anxiety is also something that very easily comes about from trauma,
Yeah.
and that can be short term and long term.
Because it comes from the body protecting
Mhm.
itself, right? Like that survival instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at us being
Yeah.
psychologists. So yeah, I think like the manifestation of acute versus chronic trauma has always been interesting.
Yeah.
Like I think it's the nature of or the irony of like, okay, I think I'm okay now to experiencing the same issues but in a different, longer lasting context.
Yeah.
Like going from forgetting a couple of details daily to not remembering large blocks of time.
Yeah.
Like that is kind of that's how that became apparent to me personally, and I was like, "Oh my god,
Mhm.
what is happening to my brain?"
Yeah.
And, like, I absolutely do not have the same brain that I had 2 or 3 years ago
Mhm.
because of this. It's like, it kinda sucks for me because when you lose that brain power, you're not gonna get it when you use that brain matter, you're not gonna get it back.
No. That's the funny
No,
thing with the brain.
that's the great thing about our little loaf of bread
Yeah.
piloting or, like, what's that one meme? The sack of meat piloting a skeleton.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta love it when the thinking thing thinks about the thinking thing.
When the thinking thing does its job.
Yeah.
So, I've kind of rambled a little bit. So, Logan, what do you think trauma is?
Trauma is definitely something that's been around for a very long time.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was most noted, I believe, after World War One was when it first really started appearing in history, which I think
Mhm.
it's been around well before that even. But after World War
But I feel
One,
like
it was
when you have the lost
mhm,
generation,
the shell
yeah,
shocked.
I agree. Yes.
That essentially is what trauma is today. It's just been broadened a bit more and not necessarily popularized,
Mhm.
but just people are more aware of it now.
Talked about.
Yeah, it's talked
Yeah.
about, and it can be very hard for people to move past it. And it
Mhm.
very much stems from events that happen in life. And you might even think that you'll move on pretty quickly from it. And then it could be like a couple months later, and you realize that you haven't really moved on from that.
Mhm.
And you're just kind of thinking, why is my brain acting this way? Why is things not right? And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people don't actually know that they have trauma,
Yeah.
even with how much it's thrown around these days.
Yeah, it sort of has become, like,
Like a
trivialized
buzzword.
and, like yeah, and I don't even wanna say romanticized, but just, like, ugh, I don't know, like, I guess romanticized,
Yeah,
like, everybody has trauma, everybody's traumatized, but in reality, you have like, it's a privilege not to be traumatized, and I think the percentage of the population that I think there is a high percentage of the population that claims to be traumatized that actually is not,
and I think there's an equally high percentage that thinks that they aren't traumatized, but they actually are,
but they are. Yeah,
which
and that's misidentified.
I think that's possibly even worse than people that think they have it, but they
Yeah,
actually don't.
as the longer it goes untreated
Mhm.
and unrecognized, the
Yeah.
longer lasting the impact
Mhm.
is, and the harder it is to confront and deal with because you don't know what you're confronting and dealing with.
Yeah.
So, kind of in preparation to do this taping, we both took what's an emotional trauma quiz
Test thing.
test put out by Pathlight Mood and Anxiety
Mhm.
Center. which is a therapy center in Colorado.
Yeah.
And both got the same result.
Haha.
And ha ha ha, it takes one to know one. Um, and both of our answers indicated that we may be experiencing trauma disorder symptoms. And and then it goes on to recommend confidential assessments with the clinician and treatment options, blah 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 blah, woof woof
Whatever.
woof, whatever.
Yeah, I'm
Fine.
fine.
But that's exactly what we're talking about. So trauma disorder is something I never heard it identified like that
Mhm.
before, which I think is interesting. And the field of psychology is like always
Yeah.
changing. And like more things are being identified and nuanced and specified, which is very interesting. That website has it listed as trauma disorder, but trauma disorder is not listed on its own in the DSM-5,
Mhm.
which is the I'm looking up the exact definition, is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental
Mhm.
Disorders, which is updated every so often.
It's like the
Um,
manual on mental health stuff
yes,
or the checklist.
and it started in 2013. Yeah, kind of like the classic presenting
Mhm.
signs, because that's something I think is very interesting about various mental disorders is that they present the same way,
Mhm.
even like in everybody's different lives. The same symptoms
Yeah.
manifest, and the brain has the same reaction to different
Mhm.
stimuli.
Yeah, like I
Um,
mentioned earlier how anxiety and trauma can really be very similar, and anxiety can come from trauma.
yeah. Well, anxiety can probably even cause trauma. Like, I don't know. It's interesting to see how the same disorders play out multiple times in the same way,
Mhm.
but and yet disorders are being misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, undertreated, and constantly stigmatized,
Yeah.
even in the field that they're supposed to be the subject of.
Mhm.
And like neither of us are credited enough to talk about the de-evolution of the field of psychology, but that's a whole
Yeah,
nother.
that's we're not smart enough for that.
No, no, no. I can tell you all about the Burgess hypothesis, but not your psychology person.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else do you want to say about trauma, Logan?
Um, I don't know.
Well, heck, honestly, we've already talked about
Mhm.
traumatic experiences and our hot topics. Like
Yeah.
the Baltimore Bridge collapse
Yeah.
was extremely traumatic for the city of
Mhm.
Baltimore, and it will manifest itself in ways for the next 10 years that nobody could have predicted.
Yeah. Especially something like, I don't know, COVID-19. That's a traumatic event that
Hmm.
will cause a lot of people trauma.
And yeah, huge collective
Mhm.
trauma. And like we will probably continue to see the collective trauma of COVID
Mhm.
19 as I feel like the virus will probably continue to mutate and change and be resistant to certain things. And
Yeah.
like it'll be the same cycle of trauma.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will get smart and deal with it as such and take more hardcore preventative measures. But
But
will that happen?
I don't know,
Probably not. Probably
'cause
not, honestly.
it seems right now that the people really don't care about it at all, which
Yeah. Like it's over, but it's not over.
yeah.
Like working in public health, it frustrates me so much to hear people say that COVID's over. And like, guys, no, it is not.
Yeah.
You're gonna look really silly in a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
And like we will have multiple nurses out at the same time for COVID. And I'm like, guys, why aren't you
Yeah.
listening?
I think I mean, I don't really hear much of COVID where I'm at.
Mhm.
Um, it's not very often if someone at work gets COVID where I'm at. Um,
Yeah.
but like I know that there's a lot of like nursing homes and such that still have some level of COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
Like they still have COVID wings and that type of stuff.
Yeah. And I feel like that should be like a constant
Mhm,
change in assisted living facilities and nursing homes because when you have a confined people group like that,
mhm. And when you have
everyone's going to give each other all kinds of
and when you
diseases.
have people coming in and out every day visiting,
Yep. Hmm.
they don't even know that if they're
Which is,
sick.
yeah, which we do not say to discourage visiting your loved ones in
Yeah.
facilities. Do visit them,
Yes.
but take the steps to protect your health and to protect their health because they are more frail and more susceptible to disease probably than you are.
Yep.
So
Yep.
watch your steps.
Yeah. And then another, like, big collective trauma was 9/11.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like,
And I think that's an interesting one for like our generation. Like,
we don't
yeah, we've seen the
yeah,
videos and we have been
and
scared,
we were forced to watch them in
but we didn't,
elementary school.
yeah, but we didn't actually live through it.
Yeah.
And we didn't experience the physiological changes that watching planes fly into buildings in real life, in real time, does to a cognitive, sentient
Yeah.
being. Like, we don't remember where we were if we were born
I wasn't
when
even
9/11
born yet.
happened, but yeah, but we do. I think that's like the first thing that really bonds us to any previous generation has been COVID.
Mhm. Like,
Because up until COVID, the adults were like, "Oh, you kids haven't seen anything,"
are you sure about
and
that?
then we saw the same thing together. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I remember March 13th, 2020. Like, that
Uh-huh.
was the day Illinois shut down.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 2 weeks,
And 2
and then
weeks
that
turned
turned into
into
2
4
years.
months. Yeah, that was I remember all of it holding on by the skin of their teeth to not cancel school.
Yup. Yeah, like, I was in high school still when COVID hit my
Mm.
senior year,
Oh, that's true.
and, like, that day, because they announced the closure in the evening on the 13th, but
Yeah.
that day at school, like, no one got any work done. Like, we were all just talking about, like, "Uh, we might be closing. Take your stuff home.
Yeah. Just to be safe, guys.
Don't know if we're gonna come back. We're gonna hope that we're gonna come back, but good luck."
Good luck.
Yeah, and then I had to learn calculus from home.
Oh, that is a traumatic experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to learn chemistry from home.
Oh, and I also had to learn physics from home.
Oh, physics.
Yeah, and human anatomy.
Oof, not anatomy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a fun time,
No.
especially for me because there was other stuff going on as well at that time that
Yeah,
did not help.
right.
I think it was that same week, like, earlier in that week that my grandmother had been diagnosed with cancer, and that was rough.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you had those two experiences very close to each other.
Yeah, and then all the lockdown stuff and not
Uh-huh.
really being able to see her as much
Mm,
as I think all of us would have liked before she passed.
right. Oh, I'm so
But
sorry. When did she pass, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
think it was July 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hmm. I'm so sorry.
yeah. But we were able to savor the time we had left with her.
That doesn't make it any easier.
No,
No.
no.
And even with a condition like cancer, you probably have a window of anticipatory grief when the actual
Yeah.
grief event
I
happens.
think
All of that is just kind of thrown out the window and it doesn't
yeah, I
matter.
think all of us kind of had a feeling that she would likely pass from it eventually. Um,
Mhm.
it was just that when she did pass, it wasn't from the cancer, and it wasn't from COVID either. Um,
Uh-huh.
but she had to go to the hospital, and I think it was because she got pneumonia and she was doing better, and then we had gotten the call, and she had I think it was a heart attack, and they called us to come down, but we weren't able to go right then because we lived like 30 minutes away from the hospital. And yeah.
There's only so much you can say about relating to something
Mhm.
that is still genuine because I had a different experience than you,
Yeah.
but different aspects of what you experienced are very reminiscent to what happened to me.
Mhm.
So I don't share this experience with you, but I have an idea of how it could have affected you because I know how it affected me
Mhm.
in my context. And none of that makes it easier, makes it better, but I don't know. I wish I could offer more than that, but
Yeah.
I had about a 3-month-ish period of just like one day we had parents at home and the next week day we did not. And we would not have a parent at home until March.
Yeah.
So we were 3 kids suddenly, and I say kids very loosely, I think I was 21 when it happened,
Yeah.
but 3 young people who didn't have to live without a parent before, and then we experienced 2 losses, a very short amount of time, one of them in a really similar way that you experienced. So I think I was just put in this I was put in survivor mode,
Yeah.
and when I came out of survival mode a long time later, I didn't realize I lost a lot of who I was in that, and I still have not reclaimed that.
Mhm.
Like, I don't remember large blocks of time, I don't remember where I was before those times, and I feel like a lot of how I coped with is still just avoidance,
Mhm.
and avoidance of, anything I could do to avoid it.
Yeah.
I I still kind of do, not as much, but, like, yeah. I don't know, it's hard for me to talk
Yeah.
about still, um, and maybe that's a sign that I should talk about it, but I am just not ready
Mhm.
still after 2 years, but yeah, taking that quiz, I was like, Yep, I did in fact abuse substances because of this trauma. Yes, I did. You got me there, guys. Um, it kind of got to a point where I think it was turned into attention seeking behavior
Mhm.
where I was just getting high any chance I could, anywhere I could, hoping somebody would see me, but nothing ever happened. So probably a probably a good thing nobody saw me. But I don't know. I had a friend who got in trouble for smoking weed on campus,
Yeah.
and they the ultimatum was he could either do substance use counseling or join or leave the college.
Yeah.
I don't he left to join the freaking military. I don't know why he didn't just do the counseling.
Yeah.
I would have just done the freaking
Yeah,
counseling.
just do the counseling, man. Like, come on.
Because that's the easy way. There's no discipline.
Yeah.
Not maybe not discipline. Oh, what's the word?
Um,
There's really a punishment.
yeah.
Like, oh, you just have to do this one class and then we're gonna pretend it never happened. But I don't know, I feel like that attention seeking behavior kind of sprouted from like a feeling of being ignored my entire life.
Mhm.
So like my traumatic experience brought that to back too late while I was trying to figure out who I was again.
Yeah.
And like that lack of self identity I was trying to fill from others' perceptions of me.
Yeah.
And when I realized nobody really had a perception of me, I would like I would spiral.
Mhm.
But now I'm the opposite where when I think people perceive me, I'm like, oh my God, please don't perceive me.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think trauma kind of brings about the idea in people of either you can just kind of accept it and just kind of be
Uh-huh.
another face in the wind, or you could, I don't know, do something with it and almost like go out in a blaze of glory almost.
Like do something productive with the
Mhm.
trauma.
Do something extreme almost.
Right. Right. Like take that height of
Mhm.
emotion and change it into a height of a different type of energy that is
Yeah.
still like connected.
Mhm.
It's interesting. And like that's a good point because I don't think I've gotten there
Yeah.
to like a point of acceptance.
Yeah, I don't think many people actually ever fully get to acceptance. It's
Yeah.
very hard to get to.
Like I remember talking to my boyfriend after everything happened and I was like, I don't think I'll ever be okay
Mhm.
again. And I think that's still like I think that's still where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's still how I
That
feel. But
or the acceptance comes from accepting that you won't be okay, that you won't be the same as
mm,
before. Like
I
accepting
think
that
that's what I'm still
change.
trying to hold on
Mhm.
to. Yeah. And like pretend that I'm still the same person
Yeah.
and that what happened to me didn't happen, even though there's a huge void
Mhm.
in my life from what happened.
Yeah.
But
Like there's the 5 stages of grief. I think that
mhm,
kind of applies with trauma as well. Um, where you have like anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance.
acceptance. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think it's really interesting too. I took a class about it was like a block 3 half course about grief. Um and I didn't know this, but actually like the 5 stages of grief is not about the people who are witnessing the dying, it's about the people who are dying. Like those are the stages that you go through when you realize that you're about to die.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I took the class. That was interesting to me.
Yeah. I think it can apply for many different things.
Yeah. And I guess I should clarify too, that's kind of like the context it was written under.
Mhm.
Like its application is very fluid and that's very, very obvious.
Yeah.
Um, but it was conceived under that notion,
Huh.
like conceived after a study of people who were dying, like actively
Mhm.
dying.
Huh. That's interesting.
I think it's interesting. So we're at trauma month.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if I just thought it was questions you may not have an answer, but are you looking to gain any new perspective out of trauma month? Are you looking to like gain anything specific, or are you viewing this as more of just like an outlet?
I think it's kind of both, because I do think it's good to talk about trauma and mental health stuff like this, but also
Hmm.
as a chance for, like, self-reflection,
Yeah.
just kind of reflecting on trauma and stuff like that, and maybe even getting
Hmm.
different perspectives on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like kind of using it as like a not a full self actualization, but like
Mhm.
partially examining yourself coming out of
Yeah.
the trauma. Like, okay, I'm in this new light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Climbing the pyramid of need.
Hmm. That's good. I love the hierarchy of need.
Yeah. I love those basic needs.
Do cats fall into basic needs? Because gosh dang it, I'm looking at this little my little chase nugget, and this if anything happens to any of my cats, I would probably go off the deep end. Like I wonder if these little guys realize how much my mental health relies on them.
Yeah.
Like when my boyfriend and I moved in together, we adopted 3 cats. One of them passed this summer,
Oh,
and I think that was the first traumatic experience that affected the both of us because he was both of our cats,
yeah.
and like that was like the first time I've seen him cry,
Yeah.
which is really weird for me. But so we did it together, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we loved our little cat. So,
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I always thought I was good at grief and loss, and like because I grew up on a farm, and
Mhm.
like a lot of animals died on that farm because that's the nature of a
Yeah.
farm. And like everything that my mom taught me was that it was okay that animals die because all animals go to heaven and their soul, whatever ecosystem, environmentalist
The
hippie nonsense,
circle
whatever.
of
And I still believe,
life.
absolutely. What?
The circle of life.
The circle of life,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah. But when it's a person, it just rocked all of
Mhm.
that for me.
Yeah.
And now like they're not just animals, like and then I feel bad for the animals who passed before that moment of realization in my life that I did think that about,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, some of the most powerful things well, the most powerful thing are memories, I think,
Yeah.
but they're so powerful that they scare me.
Yeah, memories do kinda be whoa.
Whoa.
I know that we've talked a lot about trauma stemming from, like, death and
Mhm,
also group trauma, but that's not the
mhm.
only sources of trauma.
No,
It can come from many, many different things.
yeah, and I'll admit my ignorance on that because, like, I only know what I've
Mhm,
experienced, um, and I don't know, I just thought of a couple other examples that I don't know, like, I'm not sure how much I wanna divulge on the air, but, intimate partner trauma
mhm.
is always a thing. Um, I always thought, like, the relationship between a significant that you have with a significant other is, like, crazy because you know them for a shorter period of time than, say, like, your
Mhm.
parents, but in that short period of time, you develop such an attachment and such a bond that, like, it's just scary,
Yeah.
and, like, that swiftness of attachment is it just sets everybody up for
Mhm.
failure, and if you're not the dominant person in that scenario, you're not gonna make it out
No,
the same person you were when you came
no.
in my experience. If you were in a healthy relationship when you were 17, all the power to you. Good job. You knew how to pick them, but some of us did not.
And even, like, friendships can cause trauma.
Mhm. Like any interpersonal
Mhm.
relationship where you let yourself be vulnerable
Yeah.
is a landscape for trauma. Absolutely.
Yeah. I had experience with that one. That one was rough.
I kinda had one, but it it's in the part of my life that got blocked out. So that it never actually happened. I can't I can't remember enough to tell you now, but
Yeah.
I think it just at least in my experience, I never really had a quite the attachment with friends
Mhm.
that could allow that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always kind of felt like I was like the odd one out,
Mhm.
like on the outskirts of the friend group, but never really included,
Yeah.
which is a trauma in and of itself because I don't know how to be friends with people. I don't know how to trust people.
Yeah.
Don't know how to form relationships appropriately, you know.
Yeah. With
But
me, I
yeah.
think it was the start of my last year of college, so it would have been fall
Okay.
22 was when I found a new friend
Mm,
group,
mm,
and then we all, like, got really close to each other, and it was good, and then it wasn't.
mm.
Which just passed the anniversary of that friend group dying.
Oh, rip. Man, that's a whole nother kind of trauma is having an anniversary of where the friend group blew up. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like that is just like the drama is just so
yeah.
intense that it stays with you,
This
you
one
know? Like,
was quite spectacular.
holy moly.
Yeah.
I I am intrigued, but I will not make you share anything if you're not ready to share
Oh, I
anything.
think I wanna share.
Anything you want to
Yeah.
share?
I'm
Okay,
gonna
share.
avoid names, though.
Okay.
Um, so at the start of the spring '23 semester, things were going good still with the group. And then
Okay.
after a little bit, um, some of us started getting a little distant, and I wasn't super involved with the exact things that did happen. Um,
Mhm.
it's like my information is still technically secondhand, although I do trust their
Right.
information. But essentially, there was one person that had really been avoiding the some other people in the friend group, specifically one person, and the person that they were avoiding has a history with depression because of other previous trauma, and they had a depressive episode, and part of it was because of the avoidance of this other person, and so they ended up talking, and person A said to person B, "I I feel much more joy in my life when you're not around."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is that is so not appropriate.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And
Wow.
essentially, that kind of split the friend group, and I obviously chose the side of the person that had previously experienced trauma, and they're, like, one of my best
And
friends.
that was the person who was told
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just to keep it straight in my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard without names, I know, but
No,
and then I had wanted to, like, get the information from both sides,
mhm.
but person A essentially, started avoiding me as well, and it's like, "Huh?" Like, I'm supporting my friend
Mm.
here,
Yeah.
and
And I want to support you too.
you're just, "Okay, cool, you're avoiding me, and you're gonna go start another friend group, cool. I see. I see how it is."
Man.
Yeah, and fun fact, we haven't messaged each other in over a year now, so,
You and
uh,
you and
yeah.
I'm sorry, you and the person who fell out, or you and the
The person that said the
person?
bad thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Okay, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that is a horrible situation for everybody involved, and I
yep,
feel so bad for that person.
yep,
Nobody deserves to hear that.
no, and the person A that did the mean thing, they're kind of the
Mhm.
inspiration for one of the poems in my poetry book.
Oh.
If you listened a few weeks ago, read a poem called "Bitter."
Oh,
Yup. Haha.
that's crazy. Bitter is a good one.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can see it now,
Yep.
and like the last few lines stuck with me.
Yeah.
I That makes so much
Mhm.
sense, Logan.
Yeah, and it is sad because before all of that, the friend group was, like, super tight,
Yeah,
and, like, we were also, like, really well centered on, like, Christ and stuff too. Like, it was really good, but
that's so crazy how like a couple of words can damage relationships so much no matter what they're built on.
mhm.
Like,
I think there was some other stuff in there as well, but that was, like, the main
yeah,
thing. That was the straw that broke the
I feel
camel's
like there
back.
yeah, Yeah, for that to occur, there was probably so many other things going on.
Mhm.
Well, I'm sorry all of you guys went through that.
Which there was one time where it was last year, I think, in the fall
Mhm.
or something. I went back up to Olivet, and there was the, David musical.
Yeah.
I went to that partly because that person had been a major part in the production of that, the main person.
Mhm. Mhm. I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about now.
yeah, and so
I always had to yeah, I know who you're
yeah,
talking about.
so kinda wanted to see that fail, and boy, did it.
Oh my god, it
It
did.
was not good.
You oh my god.
Yeah, but they were there, and they completely ignored me. Didn't say hi or anything. Didn't even look at me.
That is so rude.
Yeah, like, I'm just here.
Like, you're just trying to do your best.
Yeah,
And, yeah, you were kind of going to see the dumpster fire, but, you were still, in a way,
yeah,
supporting their
mhm,
production, you know?
yeah, like, I paid for my ticket, like, I
Yeah.
wanted to support the people that are in it,
Uh-huh.
but
So they could have said hello.
yeah,
And, it's not even that the drama happened between you and them, you know? Like, they should not have a grudge to hold against you just because you're standing with somebody who got hurt.
yeah, and, like, yeah, I would love to, like, have a conversation with them, just, like, talk about it, but
Mhm.
how do I know that they're not gonna just lie about it, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like, twist words to mean other things and stuff, you know?
Mhm. And to make the person who was
Mhm.
the bystander the main culprit.
Yeah,
Yeah. And, that's, I don't know, that's kinda disheartening to me to hear that,
yeah,
but I can't say it doesn't make sense, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely do think I'm dealing with some trauma from that still.
Yeah. Especially, when you're recovering from a friendship like
Mhm.
that, falling out.
Yeah,
Like, the intensity of the bond is indicative of the intensity of the fallout,
yeah.
and it hurts.
Especially at the end of your college career where you don't
Mhm.
really have much of a chance to actually make another friend group.
Yeah. And that's not how you want your senior dad,
No,
you know?
no.
Sorry, friends. Well, we are just getting started on our conversation about trauma. Obviously, we're not going to solve the issue of trauma and relieve all of our mental anguish in one episode. Absolutely not.
No.
Um, so hopefully, well, not hopefully, but the next time you listen in, we'll kind of be talking about life on the other end of trauma,
Mhm.
kind of like coping mechanisms, different perceptions of how trauma is portrayed in the media we consume versus how we experience it in real life, how to be an individual living and processing through trauma without letting it interfere with our relationships,
Mhm.
and kind of where our generation that is just inundated with technology and world events and being forced not forced to care, but there's just so much that we have to live through.
Yeah.
We have empathy, we are going to have emotions about and 4. Where do we go from here?
Mhm.
So yeah. Logan, do you have any other remarks you wish to make about this first chapter of the Trauma Month?
No, I think we'll save it for next time.
Okay. I hope I didn't cut you off. I was trying to gauge like the natural
Yeah, I think that's a good stopping point
end.
for this
Okay.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And healing is not linear. We both know that very, very well.
Mhm.
And if you are struggling with the long term effects of a traumatic event, you have friends you have friends and others, you have friends and the divine powers that govern the nature of the universe. So
Yeah.
you have places to go, people to turn to. And all else fails, DM me. I am being so for real, guys. If you need help, let a girl know. I may not be a good helper, but I will try my dangest.
Well, I think that'll do it for
I think we're the
this part of our trauma month.
yep. And I think we're at a place to sign off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in case you missed it, my name is Kaylee,
My name's Logan.
and we don't know what we're doing. We hope you enjoyed this week's conversation, and we hope to hear you back next episode.
Ooh.
Woo! Life gets heavy, guys, but you got this. We got this.
Bye.
Bye, friends. Have a good week.